Good morning, my dear students. Today let us discuss business relations subject because sixth semester. In a class only we already covered the portion in the introduction of business relation and second chapter contract law and competition law we already completed. Now let us go for another topic, Consumer Protection Act. Either it is the consumer law, only let us discuss. So previously, we already know what is the law, meaning of law. It is imposed by legislative of parliament statute, commonly called as a law imposed for the overall consumer segment. So ultimately, why it is required the consumer law? So all of you know that the law basically we are majorly getting the sources from the English law, major sources. So major that source only we are implementing the constitution as well as for parliament. So for example, if any law to be imposed for the society, ultimately to pass the legislative statute as well as parliament to pass the bill, based on that only we have to be implementing the society. What is the major benefits of the law? All of you know that lead the peaceful society. That is a major thing, as well as regulations. So that especially the Consumer Protection Act, majorly the consumer fraternity. So now let us go for what is a consumer? The first thing. A consumer refers to as any individual or household that use goods and services generated with the economy. Ultimately, as an individual only we can consideration as well as a consumer only we can confess. So consumer is defined someone acquiring the goods and services, a direct use of ownership, as well as which can call it as a purchasing capacity. That is only we have to pay some of the price. The price also, that is denomination of the mentioning the price, we have to pay the price and ultimately to acquiring the goods and services from the manufacturer. So that person only we can call it as consumer only we can consider. When your father buys apple for you and you consume them, your father as well as yourself are treated as a consumer. Whether it taxi for the we can traveling the one place to another. So that person only we can call it as consumer. So now moving to the next content, consumer law. Consumer law regulate private law relationship between individual consumer and business that all sell those goods and services. So it deals with only relation between of the consumer and business. The consumer law majorly targeting the manufacturer as well as business people, and another one is consumer, the major relationship. So ultimately, who will the major protecting the ultimately consumer? So ultimately protecting the consumer on the, for example, as a business people selling the various goods and services to the consumer. So ultimately, how to protect the consumer? For example, if there any mislead, either it is any corruptions, either it is any fake product related when they are selling that. So that dilemma you have to be control in the consumer law. So that is another one. That it deals with credit repair, debt repair, product safety, service and sales, term of relation, personal price. So you have to always to be maintained because of when the competition will be when we giving the comparison of the one business to another business. So that is the to follow the pricing control with stability and always product safety, services related, and as well as if there any like whatever the hazards products like they're selling that either it is unfair trade practices they're following the some business people. So that conditionally we have to control over. So that is the major control over the consumer law. So they have a major three redressal agencies. Major three redressal agencies through and the state government as well as central government to people as to be controlling the various area. Next, we'll go for concepts of consumer protection. So, this consumer protection means safeguarding the interest of the right of the consumer. So, ultimately, whatever the safeguard as well as the interest of the consumer. So, ultimately, protecting the consumer, it does not impact from the any business people. Suppose I'm selling a product as well as I'm delivering the services, does not impact for the any consumer. Okay. Ultimately, you want to be deliver the goods and services with the interest of the public. So that is the major only has to be followed to the concept of consumer law. So that will be the majorly protecting the whatever the unethical as well as malpractices. So all of you know that whatever the nowadays majorly the tendency will be that food adulterations. The major tendency now it is going on now. So that tendency only we have to be avoid. That is only we have to consideration of the consumer protections related and redressal their grievances. So ultimately, so what the giving the directions. For example, the law will be the giving the directions through the whatever the redressal agencies. So these people only the has to be control over the all the unethical and as well as malpractices as well as any other like whatever the rules like. So that will be the majorly controlled after the Consumer Protection Act 1986. It to be, for example, its effect on 15/4/87 onwards, it will be the imposed by the law restriction. So Consumer Act imposes strictly liability on manufacturer or supply defective goods or buying service provider. I already told it is strictly giving the guideline to the only manufacturer and service provider. So for example, if they are selling the either is business means they are selling the goods and services. So it is also impact not only manufacturer, it is also impact of the service provider also. So that is another one. Next thing, history of Consumer Protection Act. Basically, it was imposed in Lok Sabha 9th December 1986, came into force 1st July 1987, Rajya Sabha passed, and 10th December 1986, and assented by the President of India 24th December 1986. This is a gazetted 26th December 1986. It will be that passed. I already told whatever the law will be that passed through parliamentary act through only to pass the any whether it is consumer law, whether it is competition law, whether it is contract law, ultimately imposed to the parliamentary. Next thing, features of Consumer Protection Act. It applies all goods and services, trade practices, unless specifically exempted by the central government. So basically, it will be covers for the whatever the unfair trade practices. Majorly to avoid that what unfair trade practices only has to be avoided. Second thing, it covers all the sector, not only the private, not only the public. It is covered ultimately private and public as well as cooperative sector also it should be covered. And the next thing, it provides for establishment of Consumer Protection Council and at the central, state, district level promote and protecting the right of consumer. In the whatever the I have already told, they have a major three redressal agencies. Ultimately, it is also majorly construct the major three redressal agencies. One it is district forum, second one it is state forum, and third one it is national forum. The major three redressal agencies through they are majorly functioning. Next one it is, and the majorly whatever the grievance as well as disputes to be avoided. Later on, we let us discuss whatever the major three redressal agency. Before that, like next one it is the major thing, objectives of consumer protection. So to protect the consumer from abuses. So ultimately, whatever the unfair trade practices, it should be avoided from the manufacturer as well as service provider. Okay. If there any malpractice regarding, if there any misappropriate, I have already told. If any either any food adulterations regarding or through selling through whether it is weights, prices, measurements, heights, like these are all the things we will be the control over. Second one is to provide a venue for the grievance redress. I have already told whatever the three redressal agencies, the providing through the consumers. And third one is to ensure a better quality of living by improving the quality of consumer product and services. Ultimately, when we are receiving the product from the manufacturer, that product should be in a quality manner as well as in a durability. These are all the expectations. Either it is the fair pricing policies they are adopting, as a manufacturer, they are adopting fair pricing policies or not, whether they are providing quality goods or not, whether they are providing the services, it is not a good manner or not. These are all the things we will be that cover over. So that thing only we have to be concentrate on that. Next thing, importance of consumer production. As a consumer law, majorly consumer point of view only we have to construct the law, and ultimately whatever the like as a manufacturer, whatever the ethical things has to be followed. When I am providing the goods and services to the consumer, what are the ethical things has to be must should be followed. So that is the major thing only we have to consider. That first one thing, unorganized consumer, like whatever the unorganized consumer, it is nothing but whatever as a normal consumer. People are expecting normally we're expecting a fair pricing or quality, right? So these are the things only we are expecting. So that expectations they have to reach or not, we have to check it. Okay, suppose if people are not reachable, ultimately you have to the whatever the like whatever the cases you have to be considered through the redressal agencies, and ultimately to promote the right product and right pricing or right customers. So these are the major theme based only has to be followed. Next one it is consumer ignorance. It's spread out the consumer from various redressal agencies are approaching the protecting the interest. So ultimately the consumer where they are getting the like whatever the unethical issues where they are raising the voice. Suppose we are going to we are went like any consumer court like okay normally as an any defect product delivered the manufacturer generally we are go for police station. It is a completely not a right way to approach the unethical aspects. Generally, we have to go ultimately consumer code we have. If there any manufacturer delivering defect goods, ultimately you have to raise the voice through the consumer code itself, not any police station like this. So that consumer code to be linked to the our your district forum, whether it is state forum, whether it is national forum. So that link will be that follow. And next one it is widespread exploitation of the consumer. There is a lot of exploitation of consumer business, various unfair trade practices, like whatever the that is the unfair trade practices also we should be avoid. Next one is businessman uses society resources. Obviously, so every business people using the natural resources as well as social resources. So when your people are utilizing the social resources, ultimately you are to contributing the society itself. The contribution of the society it should be in a fair manner. It should be in a fair manner because of the people are using the social resources, right? Ultimately, what is our contribution for us against society? Not only people are getting, always getting the resources, not like that. You have to be contributing. So in a manner of fair trade practices, of goods, either it is fair pricing policies, a durability related. These are the goods and services has to provide as a manufacturer to the consumer. So that is the another one of the major importance. Second one is the social responsibility. That is the same thing. That is also one of the responsibility for the every manufacturer and service provider. Has to be compulsory, has to be maintained, protecting the whatever the interest of the consumer. So that is another one importance. Next, intervention of the government. All of you know that the state government and central government ultimately the intervention. If there any like any misappropriation, if there any unfair trade practices will be that happen, ultimately the government will be that intervene. Ultimately to avoid the whatever the violation of rules and regulations. So that will be the important. Not only district and state will be the completely controlled by the state government. and other is national commission. It is to be completely controlled by the central. So that is a major consumer point of view only you have to be concentrated. Next one is consumer is the purpose of the business. So purpose of business create more and more consumer retain the businessman. Ultimately the businessman has to be retain the customer. When it is possible, when they are providing the quality of goods, then only the consumer will be the retain in the long term. So when you people are adopting the unfair trade practices, ultimately the ignorance, the customer ignorance will be that happened. So that is the only major thing. Only ultimately you have to be satisfying the customers. So that is the another one importance. Next one is next content moving to scope of Consumer Protection Act. So what are the major scope related? We already one of the example I have already told like food adulteration, the present tendency in that. For example, if people are purchasing a vegetable, fruits regarding like there any groceries, these are all the things nowadays will be the major loopholes now in the society. So that thing only we have to avoid through the consumer law. Okay, so that consumer law has to be accelerate the whatever the rules and regulations to the manufacturer as well as service providers. So let us go for one by one like requirement to performance compensation as well as content, content design, construction, finish, packaging or consumer product. Either it is packaging related, finishing goods, designing, colors, specification. All of you know that in the market mix concept, product, price, people, promotion. So that thing only has to be making the strategy through. That strategy is compulsory follow the whatever the ethical rules and regulation in that finished goods as well as packaging and as well as designing related. And next one it is requirement to kind, class, grade, dimension, weight, material. So that is another one. The classes means how of you know that the first quality, the second quality, the third quality of the goods. Okay. Sometimes as a manufacturer, when they're selling the class 3 product, they're telling that fast like this is the first class product you can get it. Not like that. You have to always mention it. What are the classes of products has to provide? So majorly you have to be based on the class-wise grade as well as the quality basis grade as well as price basis grade has to be dimension and weights also. Ultimately, the weight as well as measurement. So all of you know that when we are using that weights, electronic scale, they are using. Some people are there following that nowadays still they have stone. Like when they are measuring the weights, some people are there using the stone like. So that is not permitted. Okay, so everyone you must should be weights. It should be the government seal weight measured. So that guideline only has to be followed. So that is another major scope. A requirement to method sampling test that is also use check quality of the product. Ultimately, when we are purchasing the goods, ultimately you have a rights to checking the sample as well as to receiving the sample. Also, you have a right to the consumers. So that is also another one of the major requirement. And next one it is storage and transporting and packaging. So ultimately, the transportation as well as packaging concept also to be followed. Nowadays, all of you know that storage, like whatever the unusual product, they have to be like stored together in the godown. Like for example, they are creating the artificial demand. Like, for example, in that onion related. So these are all the product creating the artificial demand. So how do they creating the artificial demand in the sense of the creating the just the deadly storage of the product. Ultimately, the demand will be increased and obviously the price also increase. So that when the price will be increased, they dump the entire product to the market. So ultimately, they're getting the price advantage from the consumer. So it will be the major impact for whom? Consumer. Consumer ultimately to burden that. Ultimately has to bear the more price before price and now price will be the completely different manner. So that is the another one, the storage concept also to be followed. The next one is requirement that consumer product marketed with other accompanied by the clear, adequate safety warning instructions requirement respecting the form of warning. So ultimately, the safety requirement, how to keep, like how to use consumable and the information related, and nowadays they are using like conditions. That is also one of the major. When you are purchasing the goods, they are sometimes they have mentioned instruction and conditions. So that is also to be available. There has to be must should be mentioned in the major product. Next one is needs of Consumer Protection Act. It is necessarily adopting measure to protect the interest of consumer, arising mainly helpless position of the consumer. Ultimately, what is the major need? Protecting the customer point of view. Only we have to implement the consumer law. Let us go for one by one under that. What are the major needs of the consumer protection? Social responsibility. We already know. Ultimately, as a service provider, as a manufacturer, compulsory to maintain the social responsibility. When it is possible, when you are people are providing the right goods and right services to the customer, then only it is possible. So that is the fundamental social responsibility of a businessman. Fundamental social responsibility of a businessman or trader. That is also which can use the word the trader. So how it is possible? The majorly providing the right quality and right quantity of goods. That is a major aspect. Based on that only we have to serve the social responsibility. That is only major possible. Next thing, increasing awareness. Increasing awareness basically the lack of awareness of consumer law. I have already told someone they are receiving the defect product. Ultimately, they are raising the voice to the police station. All of you know it is a blindly. You should not raise the voice to the police station. Ultimately, you have a consumer court. Based on the consumer court only, as well as redressal agencies through, you can get the whatever the justice from the whatever the defect product provided. So that is the major awareness we are major requirement. So and another one is ignorance also. Nowadays, most of the customer ignorance. For example, I am getting 1 kg sugar. They are providing 900 gram. We obviously we cannot raise the voice. Only it is 100 gram. Leave it. That is the ignorance of the consumer. So when it is happen by ignorance, ultimately as a manufacturer, as a provider, they are increasing the malpractices. Yesterday 900, so today they can increase like 800. So because of reason it is very simple. No one it is questioned. No one it is raising the voice regarding the whatever the malpractice, whether it is defect product they are providing right. So that is the awareness. Ultimately, the consumer law fundamentally educating the customers. Educating the customer and whatever the knowledge you must should be gathering. Then only we will raise the voice regarding of whatever the unfair trade practices related. And consumer satisfaction also. That is a major thing. It is followed by the business people. That is only the Mahatma Gandhi, one of the line also that said, treat your customers as a god. So that is another one of the major thing. These things only a must and should be followed as a business people. Business people, the must and should be following the satisfaction related to how to follow the major thing. Next one it is survival and growth of business. So that is another one of the major. So when it is possible survivability, when you people are retain the customer, when you retain the customer, ultimately your business will be survival. So how to retain the customer? All of you know that. How to retain the customer when they are providing the quality of goods and quantity, right quality and right quantity. Then only the customer will be survived. So retained. The customer will be retained. Automatically your business will be survived. So that is a possibility. So that is a major thing only we have to be follow. Next one it is principle of trusteeship. So ultimately you have to follow the supplied society, ultimately you have to maintain the one of the bondage. That is only we can call it as customer relationship. So one of the head, you have one of the branch of management also you have customer relationship management. Why? Because of they are established this branch ultimately to collecting the feedback of the customer, what their expectation, what their need you have to fulfill, and ultimately you have to when you fulfill the whatever the expectation, ultimately the customer will be the retail. So this is the major trusteeship and whatever the various principles and ethics of when they are following the ethics in the business, obviously the customer will be the retail. So that is a possibility. So that thing only has to follow under the consumer law. Next thing, just content rights of consumer. So that is another one content. Majorly, generally you have all the rights of people are when you people are claim these rights. When I am purchasing any goods, when I am purchasing any, when I am receiving any services, ultimately you people are you claim the rights. Before you people are claiming the rights, you ultimately fulfill the conditions. Keep in your mind. If any customer claiming the rights, ultimately you have to fulfill the conditions. That is very important. In a contract act, we already discussed it. Conditions and warranty. Okay, warranty when it is possible to claim, when you people are fulfill the conditions. When you fulfill the condition, then only you can claim rights. So that is a major. So let us go for one by one. Right to safety. Ultimately, your people are expectations what? The safety of the product. You should not receive any hazardous goods. Either it is impact of the human health or else animal health or else environment hazards. So these are the product you have. Some of the product to be impact human health, some of the product to be impact of animal health, and some of the product impact of the environment. You know that soil pollution, water pollution, air pollution regarding that. So, for example, best example it is a plastic. Okay, a plastic is a does not impact for the any directly does not impact of the human health, but it definitely impact for the environment and animal also. That is another one major aspect. But right to safety that is very important rights of the consumer. Next one, right to information. Ultimately, you have to access the information. Right to price, like whatever the information regarding the price, quality, quantity, durability, services. These are all the information must and should be accessed. And you always discover and always to maintain the transparency. That is very important. When the customer through the manufacturer always to be maintained a transparency regarding of the product. Then only it is possible to sell to the customer. You should not hide anything at all. Sometimes they also hide like conditions, they have hiding. So condition apply. All of you know that when you are purchasing the any product, condition apply. So that will be always hide. You should not hide. You should be giving the information. All the information you have to provide to the customer. So that is another. Right to choice, like ultimately whatever the price basis, quality basis, ultimately you have to choose the product. That is you have a right. And next one is right to representations. Whatever the representation means to express the consumer interest in making execution government policies. Whatever the express, you have to represent it. Next one it is next to rights. Right to redress to compensated for the misrepresentation, shoddy goods or unsatisfactory services. So this is the whatever the redress means basically unsatisfactory services. When it is called unsatisfactory, when it is called unsatisfactory, as a manufacturer does not meet the expectations, does not meet the whatever the consumer expectations. So then only we can call it as unsatisfactory goods and services. That only you have to raise the voice. For example, advertisement given. All of you know that any product they are doing the advertising. The advertising is different and real product is completely different. So always it is not a fair, it is unfair. For example, like whatever the misleading the customer. So that point of view, you how to consider these things and right to consumer education. So this is another one of the education means whatever the awareness and information and the knowledge of the product. So that is a very important has to be followed. Right to basic needs which guarantee survival, adequate food, clothing, shelter, healthcare, education, and sanctions. Like. Ultimately, the basic needs related, you always providing the right, like whatever like right product to the customers. So that is a basic needs also you have to be provided. Right to health environment. I have been told it is always impact of the human, animal, and environment. So that is also environmental point of view. Also treating the whatever the any dangers like whatever the these things also you have to provide. If you know that whatever the Bhopal gas incident, all of you know that we have a in the next session Environmental Protection Act. Okay, Environmental Protection Act. The reason it is very simple. The one of the incident. That incident only you can call it as Bhopal and gas incident. That is a major incident only to the impact of the to construct the Environmental Protection Act. So that is a major. So here also, if there is any dangerous or threatening of the consumer, that is you should be avoided from the manufacturer. So the consumer law majorly protecting to the consumers. So that is another one. Next one it is next concept, consumer responsibility. That is another one. A consumer must be exercise his rights. So whatever the responsibility has to be followed when we are receiving the any goods as well as services. These are the major responsibility that must should be followed. Like whatever the exercise is right, like whatever the perfect or giving the complaint. I already told whatever the responsibility means, ignorance should always avoid that ignorance and negligence. If any defect product you are receiving the defect product, you should be raise the voice. Then only it is possible to clear the whatever the defect product. You should not raise the voice. Definitely is providing continuously defect product itself. So that is a major responsibility you have to be exercising. And another one is cautions customer and blindly believing the words of the marketing people. All of you know that marketing people they are giving the very good communicationally, they are very goodly. They have to cream. Ultimately, they can purchase the goods. So that is the ultimately you should not believe in all the words. So that is also your responsibility when your people are purchasing the goods. A consumer must be quality conscious. Obviously, when we are giving the either it is paying the price basis we are expecting what quality. So the quality conscious also you must should be followed as a consumer, and also you have to maintain for that hallmark, ISI hallmark like either it is ISO, food product that is a major mark also you have to be followed. And moreover expiry date, manufacturer date, brand name, either it is quality or durability related. Then these are all the responsibility you have to fulfill. Then only it is possible to claim the rights. If people are not aware about of the quality or quantity, you should not get of the right product should be manufactured. So that is another one. Next one it is initiate on cash memo. You know that whatever the we are paying the price like that is the evidence. Okay, the major evidence basically you have to be follow when I am paying the money. Always you must should be receive the bill. That is very important. Then only you claim the whatever the rights is it possible. Sometimes the people are neglected. You should not receiving any bill like how much amount you people are paid, whether they are given discount or not. Also, how much of the product they are delivered, quantity, quality, these are all the mentioned in the bill receipt and price also. Suppose you people are paying the cash or liquid cash or bank through transaction, either it is check. These are all the record you have to build. Why the people are building this kind of record? These are all the major evidence. These major evidence prove only you can raise the voice. Suppose they are deliver the defect product. Suppose they have delivered the defect product, then only is it possible to raise the voice. So these are all the evidence you must should be maintained. And finally, filing complaint for the redressal of genuine grievances. So obviously, you people are, even if it is small loss, I already told. If people are purchasing a 1 kg sugar, they are giving a 900 gram. You should not ignore only 100 gram. Even if it is small loss, also you should be raised the bonds. So then only is it possible to creating and making the awareness to the consumers. So these are the fundamental responsibility of the consumer. So when you people are receiving the any goods and services. Next, ways and means like whatever the India as a consumer like whatever the what is the major tendency consumer tendency in our Indian consumer tendency like okay these people are always price and quantity based of you know like whatever the China product why it is success in Indian market all of you know that. What is the reason it is what is the reason? Price is very less and quantity will be the more. You should not expect quality because of this is China item. So that reason. Okay. So that is the basically the China people they have to conduct the survey. What is the Indian market customer mentality or people mentality? Ultimately they have to survey conduct and then only has to be survive in the Indian market. That is a major fundamental survey also they have to be considered. It is next one I will go for next. Yes, wait. Before. So some of the business association we have through the consumer protecting the Consumer Protection Act. So that is the one of the major FICCI and CII or Confederation of India Industry, another one Federation of Indian Chamber Commerce and Industry. So these are the federation what they are doing like. So ultimately dealing the customers, whatever the needs, requirements, and whatever the satisfaction, and ultimately they are giving the guideline also. That I already told, like creating the awareness program, like whatever the educating the customers. So these are all the major association people are creating the awareness. So that is a major thing only has to be followed. Like consumer organization also you have consumer awareness program. It is the most required now. Then only is it possible to protecting the consumer interest. So when we have like realized, then only is it possible to get the justice from the manufacturer. Next one it is. So normally when the people are receiving the any defect product or defect services related. So how to file a complaint? That is a fundamental. So it is a general thing filing a complaint. So first, some important terms and defined Consumer Protection Act. Under that, who is a consumer? If you know that, one who buy the goods or buy the services or someone or some value. So that is a person only has to give the complaint, not for the second party, not for any third party. For example, receiving a first party, that first party able to giving the complaint or raising the voice regarding of the whatever the any like whatever the defect goods people are receiving. So that is the major thing. Second one, when or under what circumstances complaint can be filed. So the false by traders, that is very important. False by trader and manufacturer if goods are defective. Then only you people are giving the complaint. As a first one thing, customer. Second one is if there is false or any defectives. And next one within. Next one it is within what period the complaint can be filed. So that is the periodical also you have. The complaint must be filed within 3 months of purchase, and if some testing of goods is required, then within 5 months. Some of the goods they have a 3 months. If any testing related product or laboratory related product, you have a 5 months. some of the chemical drug product the requirement of the time duration will be that more. That reason only they are giving 5 months. Some general product will be that giving the 3 month only. Before 3 months only you can file the complaint. That is the durations. Next one is where the complaint can be filed. All of you know that. Already there are three forum you have. One is district forum, state commission, national commission. So when you people are make the district forum, that is the first thing. The value of does not exceed 20 lakh. The value of does not exceed of 20 lakh. You ultimately you people are make the district. Second one it is the value of more than 20 lakh but not should not cross the 1 crore. So that is the major only we have to meet the state commission. As the same thing, national commission, they exceed the 1 crore. If any value or if any defect goods people are received more than 1 crore value, then only you have to meet ultimately national commission. So that is another one. Who is not a consumer? The person who obtained goods are for resale ultimately. The person I already told, the person must should be first party, not for the second party. The first party only the consumer only you have to be considered. That person only you can file the complaint concerned district forum, whether it is state, whether it is national. Next one is some reliefs or remedies to consumer. So generally we are discussing the what are the remedies to the consumer, how do people are escaping as a manufacturer. Okay, escape as a manufacturer when the people are provide the defect goods. What are the remedies you will have? That remedies you can majorly follow. That remedies it must should be legalized. The remedies should be followed by the legalized. The legalized means consumer law basis. Consumer law basis only we are giving the relief to the consumers. That is the first one thing. Removal or defect from the goods. Ultimately, what you people are deliver the defect goods, that must should be you have to be removed. Second one is replacement of goods. I have almost the compensations. What they are giving, again resale they are giving whatever the product you people are refund of the price right. Whatever the amount you people are received, that amount you have to repay. Next one it is compensation of loss or injuries suffered. That is a major. Suppose I am using that any different product, ultimately the human health will be that spoiled and that is hospitalized. Sometimes also you have to pay hospital bill also. That is a major. And hospital bill and additional compensation also you have to pay. So this is about the compensation based on the circumstances. What they are people are injured, what they people are suffered, based on the circumstances basis you have to pay the whatever the compensation to the consumer. And removal of deficiency in services. That is a goods related, and another one is service related. If any of people are providing the services, for example, software services, IT, information technology services related, that deficiency also should be removed. And next one, stopping the sale of hazardous goods. Ultimately, if people are selling the goods, it is impacting for the human health, either it is animal, either it is environment, but all the things you must should be stopped. And whatever the guideline, you must should be followed as a manufacturer. Next one it is the major thing, the consumer redressal agencies, like major, like whatever the Consumer Protection Act 1986, they are constructed major free redressal agency. It is very important in your Bangalore University question paper. All the year question paper, there definitely one question you have consumer redressal agency, as it is Consumer Protection Act. So that related concept you must should be understanding that whatever the major three four of them. The first one thing, district forum. Let us go for one by one. District forum. It is a majorly considered and the state government control over. The district forum majorly controlled over the state government. They have a two-member. The two-member will be not controlled by the district court. The district court chief justice has to be followed, whatever the district forum. Before it was 5 lakh rupee. Now it is to be exceed to be 20 lakh. Up to 20 lakh you can raise the voice. Where it is district forum, is it possible? Either it is you people are not getting the any justice, not getting the any justice from the district forum, you can enter the next level state commission. Next level of state commission. So that period it is very simple. The state, when you people are entering the state commission, within 30 days time, depositing 25,000 or 50% of penalty amount, whichever is less. Now, when it is in these circumstances, suppose you people are not getting the right compensation. Suppose I will enter the district forum. I need 15 lakh rupee compensation, but they are sanctioned 5 lakh rupee. But I am not satisfied. But I am not satisfied because of I'm expectation what 15 lakh compensation. But they are sanctioning how much it is 5 lakh. So that's why I am going to the next level. Which level? State. So that is the process. Simply you should not go for the state forum. When you people are first level, you are completely fulfilling. For example, district. You should not satisfied. Again, you people are go to the state. So that is the major legal follow-up. So that then time should be 30 days. So this is the major. It is completely controlled by the state government authority and exclusively district court. This district court chief justice has to be controlled by the district court. So that is one. Next thing we'll go for state forum. The state forum also completely controlled by the state government itself. So majorly they have also two other members. Our president must be retired working judge of the High Court. But district forum you have a district judge, a district session court on the book. So that judges people are doing like whatever the contravention, whatever the malpractices, whatever the unfair trade practices, that is all the contravention. It should be cleared in the district. But state forum in exclusively High Court has to be deal. Like state commission must should be deal with High Court judges people. The same thing. The limit before it will be 5 lakh and nowadays raised up to 1 crore. So 20 lakh to up to 1 crore you can get the compensation in the state forum or state commission. The state commission replaced by the High Court, and ultimately these are also majorly you people are not satisfied. The same thing. Suppose you people are not satisfied with the state commission, you can also enter the national commission. The same thing will be the pay the whatever the depositing fee and whatever the penalty. For example, 3,500 depositing or 50% penalty amount, whichever is less. These are the depositing amount that you have to pay, and you have to enter the next level, national commission. So that is another one thing. Next, I will go for national level. These national level ultimately controlled by the central government authority. Central government authority means it is an intervention or contravention will be that appeal go through on the Supreme Court. So here it is, state commission completely deals with High Court, High Court judges, but national level commission completely deals with Supreme Court Chief Justice. Supreme Court Chief Justice has to deal with that. The same thing. More than of the 1 crore. More than of the 1 crore penalty as well as any compensation you people are expecting. Ultimately, you have to meet which one? National forum. That is the major thing. Within the complaint, Supreme Court within 30 days has to be satisfied with whatever the consumers grant, whatever the consumer expectations they have to meet. Behind that, there is no other. It is a final. Supreme Court, it is a final. What they order, what their compensation, what their amount they are given, that amount only you can claim. So that's. So this is the major. The three forum. One is district forum, state forum, another one is national forum. Major three forum. They are consumer redressal agencies dealing with the consumer law. These are all major. Consumer law yavado deal ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ these major three agencies. For example, before class we already discussed in the Competition Act. Competition Act majorly controlled by CCI, Competition Commission of India. That is a they are only giving the guideline, rules and regulations. The same manner, Consumer Protection Act, who is the major ruling the guideline as well it is giving the direction, the person is redressal agencies. The redress agencies only you can call it as three: district, state, national. That's it. Next, role of consumer organization. So this is the one of the whatever the organization you have, like some of the organization also you have whatever the fulfilling the consumers needs or requirements, like so that is a consumer education and research center Ahmedabad, like whatever the common cases, New Delhi Consumer Unity Trust Society. So there are majorly protecting the consumer. These are all other council and association they have. They are also part of the consumer basically. And next one it is next slide. So this is associated performing the following function. So ಎಲ್ಲ association ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ functioning ಅನ್ನು formulate ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ basically spreading the consumer awareness, like educating the customer, bringing out the brochures, journals, filing the suit complaint behalf of consumer. Okay, for example, I am a consumer, I don't know how to give the complaint to the consumer court. These association people usually guide them to the consumer. How to giving the complaint to the consumer. These are all the major associations. You must should be aware. They are always creating the awareness and educating the customer. That is very important. When educating the customer, when it is happened, the service provider as a manufacturer never provide the defect product. Never provide the defect product. So all of you know that one of the most of ಯಾವಾಗ ಇರೋದು ಮೋಸ ಮಾಡೋರು ಯಾವಾಗ ಇರ್ತಾರೋ ಅವಾಗ ಮೋಸ ಮಾಡೋರು ಇದೇ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. That is the word. So that's why only the consumer must and should be taking the precautions. Whatever the education, whatever the knowledge, that is very important. That knowledge these association people has to be providing to the consumer certificate. So when it is, that is a possibility. Thank you. So this is the Consumer Protection Act or Consumer Law related. Remaining will continue next class.